Okay, so India's confirmed its first ever cases of human metapneumovirus.
Right.
And, I got to admit, when I first saw that headline, I kind of thought,
Oh, yeah.
like, what is this?
Yeah.
Is this some, crazy new virus we got to worry about?
Mm-hmm.
But turns out HMPV, that's what they're calling it,
Yeah.
it's actually, like, pretty common
It is, yeah.
everywhere else in the world. And chances are most of us listening have already had it, like, a bunch of times.
Probably, yeah.
I just thought it was a cold, right?
Exactly.
So today, let's deep dive into this whole thing. We've
Yeah.
got this this article from CBS News
Mhm.
that we're going to be using as our main source.
Okay.
So, you're the expert here.
Right.
Tell us, like, what is HMPV, really?
Well, HMPV, it's a respiratory virus. It's actually one of the most common ones out there.
Okay.
And yeah, like you said, most people get infected with it as kids.
Wow.
By the time they're 5 years old, most have already encountered it.
So, like, if you're 5 years old and listening to this right now, you probably already had this.
Exactly.
That's kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, it is.
And so it just causes, like, cold symptoms then?
Yeah, for the most part,
Okay.
runny nose, cough, maybe a little fever.
Got it.
Sometimes you get wheezing,
Okay.
but it's usually pretty mild.
So that's probably why, like you said, it often goes undiagnosed.
Exactly. Most people don't even realize they have it.
Right.
They just think it's a cold and it goes away on its own.
And doctors probably don't even test for it specifically.
Not usually, no. I mean, there are tests available,
Right.
but they're not routinely used.
Okay.
Unless there's like a reason to suspect it's something more serious.
Gotcha. So it's like all over the world.
Pretty much.
But it's just now being confirmed in India.
Right.
So why are we just hearing about it now?
Well, that's a good question. This is the first time they've actually officially confirmed cases of HMPV in India. So it could be that it's been circulating there for a while,
Right.
just under the radar, so to speak.
That makes sense.
And this is, kind of a reminder that there's still a lot we don't know about how viruses spread and, which ones are circulating where.
Okay, so that's kind of like the science part of it.
Yeah.
But then there's this other part that's, kind of got me thinking.
Right.
This whole no need to worry thing
Mm-hmm.
that Indian officials are saying.
Right.
I mean, on the one hand, you're saying, like, most cases are mild, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they're right.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, it's like, well, what about those people who are more vulnerable?
Right.
The article mentions infants, older adults,
Exactly.
people with weakened immune systems.
Those are the groups that we worry about the most.
Okay.
Because for them, even a typically mild virus
Right.
like HMPV,
Yeah.
it can actually lead to more serious complications,
Okay.
like bronchitis or pneumonia.
So basically, like, it's a mixed bag.
Pretty much.
For most people, it's no big deal.
Right.
But for some, it could be pretty serious.
Exactly.
So what does this mean for us, like, just everyday people?
Well, I think it's a good reminder that
Yeah.
even if a virus is usually mild,
Mm-hmm.
it's still important to take steps to prevent its spread.
So, like, what kind of steps are we talking about?
Well, the usual stuff, really. Washing your hands frequently,
Right.
covering your cough, staying home when you're sick.
God.
Those things might seem basic,
Yeah.
but they really can make a big difference.
Okay, and this is, like, important all year round,
This-
right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just a flu season thing.
Right, right.
We got to be thinking about this all the time.
Because, like, even if you're not worried about getting sick yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you could still spread it to someone who is more vulnerable.
Exactly. It's about protecting the community as a whole.
Right. So, like, one person's cough could turn into a whole chain of infections.
Yeah.
And then you've got a bigger problem.
Exactly.
Wow. This is, like, making me think about, like, all those times I've gone to work sick.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a cold.
Well,
Maybe I shouldn't have done that.
hindsight is 20/20, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something to think about.
Okay, so we've talked about the science. We've talked about the precautions.
Mhm.
Is there anything else, like any big takeaways from this whole HMPV in India thing?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things is that it really highlights how much we still don't know about viruses.
Right.
Like, if HMPV has been circulating undetected for so long,
Yeah.
what else might be out there?
Wha-
It makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, it does. And, this brings up the question of how can we improve global surveillance?
Right.
How can we do a better job of tracking these viruses
Yeah.
so we can understand them better
Mm-hmm.
and be more prepared to respond to new threats. That's a great point. So it's
Yeah.
not just about reacting to what's happening right now.
Right.
It's about like being proactive and trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Okay, so to wrap things up, I guess the big takeaway here is that
Yeah.
this discovery of HMPV in India, it might seem kind of scary at first,
Mm-hmm.
but really it's just a reminder that,
Yeah.
viruses are all around us.
Mm-hmm.
They're constantly evolving,
Yeah.
and, we're going to encounter them at some point.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's no big deal.
Right.
But it's important to be aware of the risks.
Yeah. Take precautions to protect ourselves and others.
Exactly. And, maybe do a little more research
Always good idea.
into the world of viruses, because it's a fascinating world
It really is.
and one that we still have a lot to learn about.
Absolutely. There's so much more to discover.
Okay. Well, thanks for diving into this with me today.
My pleasure.
And to everyone listening, stay healthy out there
Stay safe.
and keep learning.
Absolutely.